joined today new, let me introduce our panelists. So we have Dr. L.O.G. Rao Mirjakar. Sir has got a PhD from Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, and he did his postdoctoral research associate in Columbia. And Sir is also serving as a board of directors in National Consortium of Ayurveda Medicine. He's a member of national team Hindu Samya Sevak Sangh in USA, and he is currently the international convener of Global Indian Scientists and Technocrats Forum. So happy to have you with us, sir. And we have Dr. Vidya with us. Dr. Vidya has done her MD DNB in anatomy in JIPMER, and she's currently working as an assistant professor in JIPMER. She is also the secretary of Sri Paspo Group of Educational Institutions, Tamil Nadu, and she is a member of National Academy of Medical Sciences, India. Welcome, Dr. Vidya. And we have Sri Swapan Shanana. Sir is from PCT Group of Institutions in Ludhiana, and he has been teaching in the Department of Business Management for the last 25 years. And additionally, he is also handling the responsibility of Director Students Welfare. He has been teaching the subject of universal human values regularly to various courses in his institutions. Welcome, sir. Next, we have Dr. Sasikumar Gurunathan with us. Sir is an integrative medicine specialist and a general practitioner in Australia. Sir has did his MBBS in India and diploma in mental health, Northern Ireland and UK. And he has undergone psychiatry training in Westmead and Cumberland hospitals in Australia. He's also served as captain in Indian Army and is currently practicing as a holistic healthcare professional in Access Health, Tuncurry, Australia. Welcome, sir. And we have Dr. Monika Sharma with us. Ma'am has done MSc, PhD in mathematics and MSc in value education and spirituality. And ma'am is currently working as assistant professor in Delhi Technical University, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am. And we have Dr. Umang Munjal with us. So she's done her bachelor's and master's degree in veterinary sciences and PhD from Friedrich Schiller's University in Germany. And she has an extensive background in nutritional toxicology and molecular genetics. So she is currently working in diagnostics in Mannheim, Germany. Welcome, ma'am. So now once again, before we dive into the discussion, I just quickly go through this format of panel discussion. So the entire session, like yesterday, is structured for 90 minutes, and it will begin with a 10 minutes brief recap from what was discussed yesterday and a brief recap about what we are going to discuss today so that it will set the stage for our further conversations. And the discussion as such is scheduled for 45 minutes, which will have 2 to 3 rounds of questions for each panelist. And each panelist will get 3 minutes to answer to each question. And at the end of 3 minutes, you will hear a bell sound. So you will know that your time is up. And finally, we'll have a 10 minutes question answer session with our delegates. And after that, I'll formally close this discussion with a brief summary. So with this, let me start the slide share of the UHV point of view for the day. I hope the slide is visible.
Right. It's visible.
Yes. So we'll be formally starting. So today is day 2 of a panel discussion, of a 3-day panel discussion. On day 1, the need and gaps in our current healthcare system and the need for a holistic perspective was discussed. Today, we'll be discussing about the vision, which is mostly the various approaches about the holistic perspective and the way forward to take this holistic approach. And tomorrow, we'll be discussing about on how these can be implemented in our current healthcare systems. So recap of day 1. So yesterday we saw that there were many achievements like communicable diseases which have drastically gotten reduced, the introductions of vaccinations and antibiotics that have revolutionized the healthcare system, and advancements in trauma care. And we also addressed many concerns, particularly the stress and mental health, which seem to not get addressed adequately. And the focus is more on the disease rather than on health. And lack of values and clarity of values in healthcare profession was discussed, and perspective of viewing human beings in isolation and not as a whole of existence was discussed. And we also discussed about sustainability of healthcare system due to the high financial burden and inaccessible for common man. So with this, there was a general consensus about the need for a holistic perspective of health. So when we look at the solution-centric approaches, so treating disease can be approached in two ways. It can be the problem-centric, or one another approach could be the solution-centric. So when we look at the problem-centric approach, physical health means getting rid of diseases. So we can ask ourselves if this approach is adequate or inadequate. In this approach, what we basically do is we resort to medicines and treatment for taking care of health. So is this really solving the problem, or is it only suppressing the symptoms? So we can look into the suggested two shifts that can be done here. Shift number one, moving from symptom relief or suppression to treating the root cause. And shift two is moving from disease to health, moving our focus from disease to health. So with these things in mind, when we look at the proposed solution-centric approach, here we can see that the self is central here and the program for physical health is laid out, where we can see there are parts in it. The first part will be taking care of our intake, which includes multiple aspects in it, not just the food. It also includes water, air, sunlight, and all the sensations we'll be taking in through our sense organs in the body. That is going to be an intake for the mind part of the human being. And we have our lifestyle routines, incorporating healthy lifestyle routines. Then we have, the second part we have incorporating labor and exercises. And third, we have different postures for regulating our internal and external body organs and for regulated breathing. And only as a last resort, we come to depending on medicines and treatment. So here the question is, should health education and healthcare system be focusing on 1, 2, and 3, and 4, or largely on 4 like it is doing now? So when we see again at the body-centric approach, here the perspective is to view human being as just the body. So here we take it that brain is in charge of the body and it is responsible for all parts of the body and their functioning. So this leaves many questions unanswered, like psychosomatic diseases and phantom limb syndromes. So here, fundamental causes, the root cause of psychosomatic diseases is not getting understood adequately. So some paradigm shifts which are suggested here is moving from this body-centric approach to self and mind, or the self and the body approach. So when we look at the proposal, that is human being is the coexistence of self, that is the mind, and the body approach. So here self is central and it instructs the body through the brain. So we can take example of Dr. Pim van Lommel, who is a cardiologist based in Netherlands, and he has done many researches regarding near-death experiences, and he has published articles titled Consciousness Beyond Death, where he is describing the near-death experiences of many of his patients who got revived after cardiac arrest. So in this approach, the root cause of disease is understood easily when we consider the self or the consciousness of the human being. So this can lead to addressing many of the currently unanswered questions regarding psychosomatic diseases. But however, we'll need many research in area of consciousness, since this is something which our healthcare system has not dealt with so far, focused with so far. So this may help us deal more efficiently and adequately with mental disorders also. So next, when it comes to stress, when it comes to mental health and our perspective about stress. So the current opinion is that stress is something which is on the outside, like stressful situations, stressful activities, and outside people who stress us out. So we resort to stress management techniques like avoiding the situation, activities, and people, and resorting to stress busters. So what is our approach to not being stressed today? When we look at the reality about stress, we can take this example of bad weather. when we look really at the bad weather, we can look at our perspective, whether is it really the weather that is bad or our approach to looking at the weather which is bad. So when one sees oneself as the body, he may be worried or anxious and fearful of the outcome of this bad weather and may react by overdressing. Whereas when one is in harmony, he responds to the person's activities and situations. So when one is in disharmony, he reacts to the same person, situation, and activities. So we can see the difference when one is in harmony and disharmony, where in harmony we respond adequately, whereas in disharmony we react, sometimes even out of the way. So we can ask this example, relate very easily with this example. So when does a mother beat her child? When she is comfortable with it or uncomfortable with it? So when we look at the body-centric approach where human beings viewed as the body, people do not understand themselves as human being and they do not understand the cause of many diseases, and there is a fear that anything untoward may happen to the body at any time. So because of this fear, people resort to outside methods like medical care for their health, total dependence on lab tests, doctors and hospitals, and people may or may not rightly utilize their body. But when we look at the mind-body approach, here the proposal is human being is a coexistence of self, that is the mind, and the body. The self is the consciousness unit and the body is the material unit. So people with this understanding, they take responsibility for their body to nurture, protect, and rightly utilize it. So when this happens, then health of the body is a natural outcome. Like we have in our UHV morning sessions, which is basically exploring within ourselves, self-observation, where we observe ourself using the self, and in exercise 2, we observe how the self and the body are related to each other. So one exercise spans for 4 months, and we have many examples and sharings of participants, like even from morning throughout this conferences, we have been hearing many sharings, and there are many sharings on YouTube also. So if we want to go a little detail into what self is and a body is, we can see the self is consciousness unit and body is the material unit, and the needs and the methods to fulfill this self are different from that of the body. When the needs of the self, it is happiness and prosperity in terms of physical facility, and these needs we can see are continuous in time, and these are fulfilled by right understanding and right feeling in the self. By right understanding, we mean understanding the harmony in the entire existence in which human being is also a part, and right feeling in the self. And as a part of right feeling, the self takes the feeling of responsibility towards the body, so it naturally tends to nurture, protect, and rightly utilize the body. So when we look at the needs of the body, it is physical facilities like food, water, clothing, and other physiochemical things, and these are temporary in time and they are filled by physiochemical things. So the body is a tool and it acts according to the self. So when the self is self-regulated with this right understanding and right feeling, the health of the body is a natural outcome of it. So self is central to human existence and body is a tool. So shifting focus to consciousness for keeping healthy body rather than managing diseases is one approach we might consider in this holistic perspective. So is human being an isolated entity or a part of a larger whole is the next question we might want to explore. So when we look at the current approach, like human being in isolation, there is lack of clarity about ourselves as human being, our relationship with other human being, and our relationship with the environment we live in, like our family, society, and nature. So the results are broken families and a lack of sense of relationship with other human beings, and there is fear in society and attempt to dominate over nature and lack of concern in nature. So all of the above, it results in ill health of mental and physical thing. So one of the shifts suggested here is moving from seeing ourselves in isolation to understanding that we are a part of the larger whole. So in this approach, the human being is viewed as a part of a family, a member of society, and a unit embedded in nature. So, understanding the human being as self and body, and also understanding the relationship the human being is having with nature, people have the feeling of relationship with other human beings and the rest of this nature. So, with this understanding, the natural outcome is a healthy self, which leads to harmony of self with the body, resulting in a healthy body, and harmony of human being with the environment, resulting in healthy environment. So, this overall encompasses the well-being of the human being, family, society, and nature. That is the overall well-being. So finally, to sum up, we have this body-centric isolated approach and the proposed holistic approach. In body-centric isolated approach, human being is viewed as the body, and the role of the self is questionable here. And when it comes to health of the body, we resort mostly for medicines and treatment for correcting the disharmony. And even there, we take medications lifelong. And are we curing or are we addressing the root cause is still questionable there. And when it comes to the overall well-being, there's a clear lack of understanding of environment. In the proposed holistic approach, where human being is viewed as a coexistence of self and the body, the health of the self is given the number one priority, because a healthy self, that is a self-regulated self with right understanding and right feeling, takes good care, natural responsibility for the body, and it leads to the health of the body, and it leads to following the program of health, and it also leads to health of the environment, that is the family, society, and nature, and overall well-being. So this is a brief discussion about the proposed vision for holistic health in UHV point of view. So with this, we'll start our panel discussion. And like I said before, we have a interesting assemble of panelists today. We have Dr. Vidya here, who is an anatomist who has looked into every nook and corner of the human body, and she knows every cell in our body. And we have Dr. Sasi Kumar with us, who has been practicing mental health. And we have Dr. Monika Sharma. She has done her MSc in spirituality. And we have Dr. Swapan, who is a very strong explorer of all these UHV proposals. And I would add myself in that list. And we had Dr. Umang, who is also practicing holistic approach in her own life, like practicing yoga. And we have Dr. Eloji Rao, who is also in a way practicing holistic approach in terms of intake to the body part. So I think it is going to be a very interesting discussion today regarding the understanding human being and the role of self in our physical health. So the first topic we would like to explore here is understanding the root causes of illness. So for this, I would like to ask Dr. Sasi Kumar. So the question here would be psychosomatic disorders like obesity, diabetes, essential hypertension, and cancer. So do you think we really understand the root cause? So if we don't understand the root cause of the ill health, how can we address and cure the diseases?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Yes, unless we understand the root cause, it's so difficult to treat the disease, as you rightly said, and I think that's the fundamental problem. We just focus on the symptoms just because say, for example, if there is a problem, if you see a problem in the leaves or flowers in a tree, then we think there's a problem is there, but actually the root problem could be actually literally in the roots or in the environment surrounding the roots. That's where we need to look at. And so when I say the root of a tree, here the root of a human body will be considered as the self. So we need to address that self. When I mean self here, it is not only the mind, but the things which goes beyond the mind as well. So if we don't address that mind portion or the things which goes beyond the mind, what happens is, say, for example, if somebody comes with increased anxiety or chronic pain syndrome, we just give them some medications to block that pain. It's like a band-aid, putting a band-aid over a tumor. But once we get into the roots of it, then we know the anxiety could be from a different psychological perspective, or the chronic pain could be from a different psychological perspective, and that's where we need to look at. So that's what we see in the holistic medicine. So not just treating the symptoms, and by doing that, most of these it's everything. I see it as a symptom rather than a disease. Say, for example, hypertension could be just a symptom as well, and arthritis or any autoimmune disorder. All those things could be a greater symptomology of the underlying self. So I would say examining the self and managing the self will be the right approach for all of these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sasikumar. And you have been practicing this holistic approach. So, and you said something about mind and beyond.
Yes.
A little elaborate on that.
Actually, when we say mind, the mind and body, we say, right? So the mind and body is one aspect. The mind is something what I describe mind as where all your thoughts, experiences, and memories are stored. It's just like a storage organ, or it's a very abstract term, because in brain, you know where brain is, but mind, nobody sees the mind. But the self, for me, the self is something beyond the mind. So I don't confuse the self with the mind, because only when we transcend this mind, you go into the self area, which is a bigger space. And that bigger space, I would call it as pure consciousness, or soul, or spirit, or whatever name one wants to put for it. So it is in that space, if we operate, say, for example, if somebody is having too many thoughts, and you can't go into the mind to control it, because the more you try to control it using the mind, it's going to get much worse. And the way you do that is to you be an observer for those thoughts, or be a witness for those things. So that's where the concept of self comes. So that self is beyond the mind. So medical faculty doesn't acknowledge that self so far, and that's where the consciousness we are talking about, that's where more research has to go into. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sasikumar. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Vidya, who is an anatomist. So, do you think we are really understanding the root cause of these psychosomatic disorders? And do you think our current healthcare system is adequately addressing it?
Okay. So mine is, I am totally not against it. Like every faculty is try to understanding the root cause of the diseases. So though we are not completely eradicating it, but still we have a knowledge of what may be the root cause of the diseases. But the thing is, like coming to the treatment, if we want to satisfy the patient, as I told you yesterday, first what they need is symptomatic relief. So once it has been done, the patient also gets satisfied and the physician also gets satisfied. They are not probing into what actually beyond it. So if the patient or if the individual also coming to the point like they have to get it cured, and the faculty also putting some effort to make sure that the root cause has to be eradicated. It should be coming from two sides. And if they both are towards one goal, definitely we can achieve. But right now, it is not possible to eradicate the root cause, and we are not properly addressing the eradication of the root cause. But still, we are trying to do that. But it is a two-way thing. Both the community has to work on this, and then only it can be eradicated fully. And another thing, mind is or situation or everything is similar, but the way the one person is reacting to that is different. So if we have a consciousness to what is beyond what is causing the root cause of the disease, and if we want to eradicate that, definitely we can go towards that approach also. But it has to come from two sides, what I believe.
Yes. Yes, I can see you're open to this approach.
Mhm.
And next, I would like to ask Dr. Umang. So, if we address health at the root, is there a possibility of cure? Your thoughts on this?
Yeah. First of all, namaste from my side. Yeah, I think if we address the disease from the root, I think this is possible because the root cause lies within, not in the symptoms. So if you see some symptoms which are coming to you, but then you have to first of all deep dive into these symptoms, what exactly could be the cause of these symptoms, and then look through outside when the approach which you want to take. So I mean, definitely first of all you have to look inside what exactly is troubling you.
Thank you, Dr. Umang. I would like to ask the second part of this question to Dr. Monica. So would this understanding, addressing the root cause or understanding the self, would it explain some medical mysteries like near-death experiences and the vivid recall of events by people despite declaration of brain dead? Ma'am, your mic is muted. Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
Please, ma'am, repeat second question.
So, like, would understanding about the self explain medical mysteries like near-death experiences?
Okay. As self is eternal entity, and it's like we are in confusion with I and my. So like you are just telling about near death experiences. So we have seen in our surrounding that a lot of people are talking about this near death experience. So it's suggests that this is about self is eternal entity. So it leaves the body, and the body is only an instrument for self. So like as I said, that it's a confusion of I and my. So like we always say my body. So it's my body means I is different from my. Then what is I? That I is self. Self is eternal, and its activity is eternal. So while the person who is experienced near that experience, their experience is also saying that I am always here, and we are using as a body as an instrument, and we are taking death. We are body is subject to decay, so that is the death of body only, and we are we are taking again a new body. When we say that somebody has taken birth, so we are just we are eternal. That self is taking a new body, because body is just an instrument for self. So like we are saying my body. So whatever what our main, we are largely focusing on our body part. Like we are nurturing the body, we are taking food, and we are protecting our body, and we are giving rest to our body. But parallelly, what we are not taking concern of the self, which we have to do largely this time. Like we have to nurture self also. So we will nurture self with right kind of thoughts, right kind of feeling, and we can protect ourselves with negative emotions and negative environment. So we can put self in rest also by doing meditation, and then we can bring out this healthy self, and then we can avoid the psychosomatic diseases like and this is all about, I think, of eternity of self is always find out in near-death experiences. That bodies, if we talk about that kind of persons who experience near-death experience, they always say that we are there. We are seeing that doctors are doing operation on our body, and but we have left the body. So that shows that self is always there, and it's taking a new body. When bodies like age is over, That's it from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. Like it's a deeper area where we need definitely more research going on the self. And I would like to ask Dr. Eloji Rao about your views on addressing the diseases, especially psychosomatic diseases at the root, that is addressing them at the level of the self. Do you think there is a possibility of cure when this is done?
Thank you and namaste once again. I think it is a $1 million or a $1 billion question. I think my expertise on this matter is very, very poor. But what I do know is that we or our mind has a much larger control on our body, both in terms of the learning as well as the behavior, and obviously responding to the situation. Sometimes I wonder that professors like Jim Tucker, who is doing research in Maryland, he has interviewed so many people, especially children, who claim they have memories from the past life, and when they have pursued to see whether it is true or not, it is. So where exactly we can cure, or where exactly the diseases start? The second part in this, my response is that obviously understanding the root cause is very good, but are we able to really do it? I think what Dr. Vidyaji mentioned is that we need to really go into the root cause, and only when you know what it is, then you can solve. If I extend that into typical our research studies, the statement is that if you know the problem, if you understand the problem, you already have half of the solution for that particular problem. So I think with the very little expertise on this dimension, but looking into solving something, root cause is definitely important. We should spend good amount of time in understanding the root cause. If not, what if not? Today, the medical experts in US, they say that the third major cause for the deaths in America, leading cause for the deaths in America is, they say, wrong diagnosis by the MDs, medical professionals. They just fail to understand, and they end up providing the treatment. And since you have not understood the problem, you are treating something that you don't know. So instead of benefiting, it is causing the death. How many? The numbers what they have mentioned is very alarming. About 15,000 deaths per month. So imagine if you really understand the cause, do you think that many people would be led to the death? No. So I think we should try to understand and then think about how we will solve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eloji. So I happened to read about this extract, or this book is there, freely available for download, Consciousness Beyond Death by Dr. Pin Van Lommel. It's a very interesting read where he is actually describing his own experiences and experiments he has conducted over a span of few decades, and how he has come to that conclusion. As being a cardiologist in modern medicine, he was able to convince himself that there is a consciousness which is not related to our material unit. So that's a very interesting read, and I think there definitely needs to be more research on this part, especially from medical fraternities where we are dealing with death in and out, and maybe we can follow his suit and do some research in that. So now moving on to the role of self in health. So I would ask Dr. Swapan, so is it time to address the role of self in health and ill health of the body of the human beings on a priority basis? So now our modern medicine is doing a wonderful job treating medicines on the body, treating the diseases on the body with medicines. But do you think shifting the focus to self for treating has to be done on priority basis now?
Very relevant question. I think in your presentation also you have said that we have to understand overall the human being. And if we explore that, we do this exploration, self-exploration, and then we all can reach to this conclusion. So just a proposal that human being is a coexistence of self and body. So till we explore this, the higher, the priority means the center stage is at the self. And self is very, very important. Means this is the one which I think will be guiding the body also. Means body is just an instrument of the self. Because in your presentation also you have said that if the healthy self is there, because self will have then the right feeling of responsibility, like you said in your presentation, self-regulation. But if we are considering only ourselves as body, then all these psychosomatic diseases, I think, will keep on existing. Because then we get into overindulgence because we think that we are body. So we are trying to get happiness through this body. And so we end up overeating, and that results into obesity. And so we are trying to get happiness or excitement through this body. And sometimes if we are not happy within, and then again we are trying to get that happiness from these sensations. And then we are trying to escape from that unhappiness by overindulgence into this, sometimes even oversleeping, all this. And then even sometimes people are taking to alcohol and all this. And this again bring problems to the body, as well as I think the whole family gets affected by all this. And once you get addicted to all this, then again and again you go to the doctors, as Dr. Vidya says, that doctor even tell that, okay, change your lifestyle, you are addicted to all this. But then if we are not realizing that there's a coexistence of self and body, and happiness is the need of the self, and it will come by understanding in the self with the right feelings. And one of the right feelings will be this, that if I understand this body is just an instrument of mine and its tool, and then I will take care of the body myself, means with the feeling of self-regulation. Then I will use this skill to produce to physical facilities for the body, to nurture the body, to protect the body, to do the right utilization of the body. So I think that is very important, because you mentioned this all morning sessions. In that we are means seeing that, able to see the reality. We are exploring. It's just a proposal that there's a self and then the body, and self need is different and the body need is different. But if we just think that I am body, then I think we are just going to the symptoms and trying to overcome those symptoms. But then if I consider that I am a coexistence of self and body, and then I will try to understand the whole coexistence of self and body. So it's, I think, high time that this research on the self has to be there, and we all can co-explore. We can explore to it, and then do the experiments. Like I told you yesterday that there was a headache in my body, and then I thought that it is a body issue. But then when I started exploring contradictions, self, but when I overcome all that with the right feelings, that is, now I've overcome this headache, and then I'm taking more responsibility of my body even now. So that's from my side. So we have to make a shift toward the self from the body, and then I think we can go to the root cause by addressing the self, and then the body will be addressed automatically. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Swapan. I can very well relate to this. I have this habit. I had this habit of binge eating and snacking whenever I felt distressed. Before exploring all these UHV proposals, I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't even realize I was unhappy, and that is why I'm eating it. But I had this habit of eating junks and buckets of biryani whenever I felt unhappy. But after these explorations, I have become aware of my moods and my emotions and the resorts I am looking forward to as a means of treating my unhappiness. So this awareness has become so profound that now I am able to curb that craving. I am observing that I am having that craving, but instead of going into eating that, having that binge eating like before, I have kind of stopped it now because of this awareness about self. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Swapan. So now I would like to ask Dr. Sasikumar's view. So Dr. Swapan has mentioned about addiction, substance abuse, and alcoholism. So you are practicing a general practitioner. So I would like to know more about how you deal with patients who have substance abuse, alcohol abuse, or any sort of psychosomatic diseases who come to you.
First of all, I just want to clarify to the panel, there is the psychosomatic disease is completely different from chronic illness. The psychosomatic disease is already addressed by the medical profession. It's not just the medical profession very well is aware of the psychosomatic disease, but the only thing is most doctors are not educated, but at least it's in the curriculum. Psychosomatic disease is because the mind reflects its problems in the body. So that is different from what you were talking about the self. So we don't have to confuse that two things together. That's important because psychosomatic disorders, when you say that when you're feeling unhappy, that you're eating, or that's where most of the addictions comes as well. Like it's a sort of an escapism. People escape. People don't want to face the actual fears. Actual issues, so they just go into the mode of some sort of either working too hard or working to taking alcohol or watching movies or the binge eating or whatever it is, or shopping, different modes. So that is a different, that's actually a psychological issue. That's a psychological thing. And that psychological things, that's what we already deal with. We already got things in place for that one. The psychologist deals with that, the psychiatrist deals with that, and all those things. And addiction, when you talk about addiction, we got a separate field for addiction psychiatry itself. And so where there are different methods, the main thing is the bringing the awareness to that person. Most of the times the patients are aware of the addiction. The only thing is they couldn't come out of that one, and that's not an easy thing as well. And obviously there are some medications for addictions, but the important thing, what I do is more counseling and psychotherapy in my practice. The psychotherapy, and the one other important thing which I do is hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy is a very good thing for addictions. And smoking, because we do deal with a lot of smoking issues. And so hypnotherapy, with hypnotherapy, with 3 sessions of hypnotherapy, I have a success rate of 70%. They stop smoking. And when you do hypnotherapy, what actually happens is you go to the subconscious mind and give the suggestions and do things. For alcohol addictions, and you can still do these things, but there are different methods available for alcohol addiction, and still hypnotherapy works for them as well, and any sort of drug addictions for that matter. But whatever we think eating is a good thing, eating is an addiction, unless if you eat more than what's needed. So, so that's why we have eating disorders as well. And not eating is also sort of control issues. And that's where we talk about bulimia and anorexic things as well. So what I'm trying to point out is this is already there in medicine, all these things. What is not there in medicine is about self, which is a different concept. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sasikumar. So now we'll move on to the role of self in the possible role of self in sustainability of the healthcare system. Like I would like to ask Dr. Umang. So we saw that there's a concern regarding high financial burden on society, and due to this, healthcare in its current form seems unsustainable. So could understanding the role and responsibility of self in health of the body be one possible solution?
I think, yes, you are right. the understanding of self could be one possible solution, because if you feel you are aware of yourself, then definitely you can cure a lot of symptoms by yourself. Let's see, if you and for this self-awareness, you have to deep dive into different methods. You can like say, do self-development. You can do self-awareness courses. You can do yoga. You can turn to books. A lot of books are available, or different techniques. What makes you like what makes you happy, or what makes you what distracts you from the negative thoughts. So first of all, just make yourself aware if they are really the thoughts, or this really a disease. So if you make yourself clear with this understanding of self, you can definitely cure a lot of symptoms, and it will impact the outcome, or I would say the burden on the financial burden really on the society, or on oneself could also be reduced. Yeah, surely the first of all, awareness about the self is really important.
Thank you. Dr. Swapin, I would like to ask, like, what do you think is the role of self in curbing the disease burden in our healthcare system, and thereby, do you think it could possibly address the financial burden also in the society?
Yes, definitely. I think yesterday also we discussed, even Dr. Vidya said that so many rich people are coming with a lot of, sometimes they are just scared that they have something, like it may be a small headache, but then they are not able to they are realizing that they have emotions issues, and then feelings issue and relationship issues. They're not going to the root cause of that. But then when it comes to the body, and if they consider that they are body only, so they are scared that something will happen to the body, and then they go to the doctor. And even like yesterday also we were discussing that even doctors sometimes they tell them, please change your lifestyle. It's very stressful, your lifestyle, when he listened to that. But then you see sometimes the people say that they don't have the time to work on their self and even the body, because they are too much into the regular work and working so hard for, I think, physical facilities the whole day. They say that they don't have the time, and they want to get released of this all this issue in the body immediately. So what the doctor can also do, so he will just prescribe the medicine, because he's very happy to take the medicine, because he's not ready to spend the time on the self and then the health in the body. But I think like even small issues like headaches, am I aware that I may not have taken the water, means I'm too busy in the work. I see at my home that people are so busy in the work, and they're not even drinking water. Means the intake, as you told in the beginning, even Dr. Rao is talking about what are we eating. So we see our eating habits today, like we are not going to the traditional methods. So I think the role of self, like even Dr. Umang is saying, self-awareness. Am I aware every moment that what I'm doing, and then I'm aware that the body is different and the self is different, the needs are different. And I just want to bring to this all panelists, this is one of the ways, like with the help of the self, I think I can bring health in the body. This is one of the ways. There may be some other ways also. So, but then I think the role of self, because I'm exploring it, I'm experimenting it. The best part is this, that there's a process of self-exploration by which I can do experimentation. So I think we all can do experiments. Let's keep it open. This concept of self, as Dr. Sasi also said, that it has to be experimented. So let's all get into that. That is why we say that this UHV course is very helpful for all of us. It is bringing very nice results in our body and my body. Even you must be hearing sharings in this conference. People are saying that bodies have become better. The work of the self, then the body has become better. So then I think it will bring the financial burden and all that. People will not be going with all these small diseases, and then the burden, financial burden, as well as the doctor's they will be spending more time. This is my take on this.
Yeah. I would like to ask Dr. Vidya her opinion. So when we say self, we together mean the consciousness unit and the mind part of it. So do you think the role of the self could in any way help reduce the financial burden of the society?
Yes, from my point of view, like I'll tell you one small example, the power of self. We all have seen elephant. That elephant, big elephant, and most of the temples would have been tied with a small rope or a small chain. So as long as the elephant believes that it is cannot go beyond that length of control of the chain, it will be staying there. But the reality is not. So self-awareness is very, very important. It is a animal. It doesn't know the meaning of self or its own strength. So thinking that it cannot do anything, it is standing there for a while. But once it realizes its own strength and power, we all know what will happen to the entire place there. So that is how the human being also, what I believe. Like we are not knowing the strength of ourselves, the strength of our mind, the power of our mind. And as a faculty, for me, it is easy to treat the patient with pills. They are readily accepting the pills because it doesn't consume any time. Within a second, they'll take the pill, they'll get the relief, they'll go walk off. So that is the thing is happening so far. But the reality is exactly the controversy. So they have to spend time for their own self, for taking care of their own self, taking care of their own mind. So even in the present situation is very bad, like they were not able to take food even. If you are giving some multivitamin tablets, they are readily accepting that multivitamin tablets instead of taking a healthy food. So the present scenario is very worse. So they are not ready to spend time for the normal daily routine events. In spite of that, they won't be able to spend time for other activities like yoga, meditation, whatever we are going to say, it will be a Greek and Latin for them. They will think like we are wasting their time unnecessarily and we are all trying to make money by asking them to do all these things. So in a country like India, what I feel is we have to follow our ancestors properly. If we do that, everything will be sorted out. They had a good sleep. They worked like anything. So they have worked a daily for 8 to 10 hours. They'll be working. Ideally speaking, now every profession they are sitting. If they take a walk once in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour, whatever they want, most of the problem will be solved. If they take water regularly every half an hour or 1 hour, at least 1 liter, 2 liter water per day, most of the health problems will be solved. If they are ready to take a healthy food, balanced food, the rest of the things will be solved. You are talking mainly about non-communicable diseases. So non-communicable diseases, lifestyle modification, that word may be a little bit luxurious, but it is very simple. Do the normal thing. We are not asking them to do some extraordinary works. Do the normal thing, everything will be falling into place. That is my opinion. I
Yeah,
think the
thank
time is up for me.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya. You rightly pointed about incorporating healthy habits, healthy intake in our daily routine. So, with this context, I would move on to Dr. Eloji Rao. What do you have to say about our current financial burdens and our disease burden in society? And what do you think is the role of self, meaning the conscious unit and the mind unit, that has an impact on the health of the body?
Okay.
So could you think it is one of the possible solutions for curbing the financial burden this health disease is posing on the healthcare system?
Okay, the signal here is a little unstable. So your words came patchy, but that's okay. I think the context of the previous panelists, I can understand the question. So interestingly, last week I was in a conference from Nutrition Society of India. It was organized in Pune in Symbiosis International University. And in one of the panel discussion, they're talking about the vitamin and the mineral supplements. And the doctor was of the opinion that I don't know whether I am suffering from that hidden hunger, which is minerals and vitamins for the body. But there are some tests, and they will suggest, and the doctor or anybody suggests that take the vitamin supplements. Okay, I take it. What happens? Nothing, except that I will have a rich urine. That's what the same old CM mentioned, rich urine. So when we say self, I think Vidyaji again touched a very important point, that our body is known to take the required element from the food that we eat more efficiently. And sometimes even that, unless there are combinations, it will not be very easy. For example, absorption of iron when there is no citrus lemon is not going to happen. So those examples are there. I think I, as an individual, I have to make some efforts. I have to understand what my body needs and what is that I need to do. I think that is where we are going to help ourselves in terms of not having the financial burden. Yesterday showed a graph, right? That's $12.7 trillion. They're the indirect costs. And all these are controllable, preventable, possibly not a single dime, a single penny is required. But just that we don't know, we fall into this vicious cycle. Now, the self is what? Self is also having some knowledge, understanding, and that knowledge has to be imparted through education, which I don't think the system is today doing. I'm not talking only in India, but all learning about our body, ourselves, and the diet that we need to indulge. And in that, I also mentioned yesterday about our own body's prakriti, kapha, pitta, vata, those have its own impact. And understanding it will definitely help. And what is that we can do? How can we holistically bring this into the system? I, as an individual, education has to be there. Some amount of practical explanations, everything should be there. I think yesterday the cadaver thing was there, that we don't get the cadaver of normal people. It is those which they cannot destroy the body and they just put it. And that cannot be the only symptom. Similarly, my partial understanding about myself is not a good thing. So I very strongly believe that we need to take the bull by horn so that we will be helpful to ourselves and also to the society in terms of not becoming burden to the.
Thank you, Dr. Eloji Rao. So in a way, we have all been touching somewhere about the program for health. Like Dr. Swapanji, he said about the intake of the body in terms of different sensations through the body. Dr. Vidya spoke about intake through water. Dr. Eloji Rao has spoken about intake through food. And Dr. Umang has spoken about the different postures, breathing exercises, and labor. Dr. Vidya has touched about labor. So these are all, in a way, we are speaking about this holistic approach to health through the self. And I would like to close this discussion about sustainability and the financial burden and the role of self, which has on the health, by asking about the viewpoints of Dr. Sasikumar.
Yes, the first thing is to know about oneself. There's a lot of points discussed. So one thing I need to point out here is even Dr. Vidya said that we tell patients to do all these things, and right, saying is one thing, doing is different. Knowing is one, doing is different. How many doctors we know that do the same things, and asking somebody to do it is not easy. That's where the resistance comes. That's what we call as an inertia there. It's not easy to go through that thing. So it's always easy to say that, okay, you do this, but the actual problem is in doing. So that's where the actual solution has to come. So this solution, how we are making people to do, or at least making the individual, the first thing is the individual has to do it. Like the doctor who says that the other person not to drink, he drinks himself, and or smokes, whatever it is, and eats unhealthy food. And so this is where the change has to come. The change has to come from, when we say inside, the inside the profession, the change has to come. Whoever preaches these things has to follow it, first of all. And getting that awareness, and the acknowledgement and action, that's what I say. But these things we need to that's where self-introspection and everything comes, and that's where the investment has to be there as well. But these things are not easy. It's going to take a long journey, and again, this is also, we can't say this is going to be a very sustainable, productive one as well, because changing an individual is not easy, because we know that from time to time. It's not easy at all. Though we can easily say it in words, oh yes, I'm going to change. That's where, again, a lot of research has to go, how to make those changes. Secondly, yes, I would say, I would imagine that with all these inputs, with self and all those things, health industry will become more sustainable. But for all those things, again, the economics has to be worked on. Whether putting all these things into practice, is there a real benefit or not? Just like they do the economic modeling for different type of things, this economic modeling has to be done as well. So without that, it's just words. Words have no meaning. So we need to really work on those real facts and things, and get into these things, and then see whether it's really sustainable and whether it's more cost effective as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sasikumar. I would like also to hear something about like what I've been reading about this role of self in health, especially in cancer. In the book, Consciousness Beyond Death, written by the cardiologist Dr. Ponvin Lommel, they had mentioned that he had experimented with terminally end-stage cancer patients who were still undergoing chemotherapy, but were suggested by their treating physicians that it is beyond cure, beyond treatment, and maybe they have got a few months left to live. But Dr. Paul von Limmel, along with his team of doctors, they started putting these patients in positive environment and like keeping them in conducive places and reinforcing them with positive thoughts. And when they did the tests on them, after about 3 to 6 months, they were able to see that cancers had gotten completely cured. So I was a little curious about this. So I just wanted to know your opinion about this. This seems to indicate about the role of self or mind in some of the directly curing the health. So what do you think about this? Dr. Sasikumar? Yeah.
Oh, you're asking me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I thought somebody else is answering. Sorry about that. No, that thing, cancer's getting cured. Yes, there is a way. I won't say that cancers get cured. What happens is cancers can go into remission, and that happens a lot of time. The cancers go into remission for many years, and then it reactivates itself. And I agree that self, when you do self things, and part of the hypnotherapy, and we do it on cancer patients as well, and there where the cancer patients go into remission. But I won't say that, I won't claim boldly that cancers has gone completely cured. So this, we need to use it more cautiously. That's what I think. And yes, cancers can go into remission, but there are some cancers where, yes, we can cure it, but most cancers, it's like chronic management for diabetes and hypertension. You never say that diabetes or hypertension has been cured. Similarly, for cancers, I would say cancer, if it is well managed, yes, it is under remission. So we need to be cautious in using those keywords. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sasikumar. I was just a little curious about, after reading that, I really wanted to know more on that. So since you are here, I just wanted to have your opinion.
No, what usually happens is the cancer markers and all those things comes down. and comes down, and you do the CT scan, PET scans, and whatever scans you do, and everything, you see a difference in the previous images. That alone doesn't mean that the cancer is cured. So, it's like when you take blood pressure medication, the blood pressure comes down. That doesn't mean the blood pressure has been cured. Similarly, when you do the self-work, when you concentrate, focus on yourself and do whatever sort of thing, meditations and things, yes, all these things comes down. So those markers are coming down. So, but it shouldn't give you a false assurance it's cured. So don't want to put any wrong information said. That's why I was just clarifying. Thank you.
But it still is an interesting piece of information. Thank you, Dr. Sasikumar. Now moving on to viewing human being in interconnectedness with the environment, that is with his family, society, and nature. I would like to ask Dr. Monica, so should we be looking at human being in isolation from the whole? Or do we need a shift in paradigm here too? So human being is a part of family, society, and the entire existence. So do you think health of a human being, when we deal with health of a human being, we need this larger perspective, which includes the health of the family, society, and the nature?
Yeah, it's very true that human being is not live in isolation. It needs a family, it needs society, it needs nature. As you truly said that self is central to existence of human being. So it's all about when we come in relationship and in relation, then we are connecting self to self, not through self to body. So it's a majorly concern is nowadays that we are living in identity crisis, that we don't know about us, like I, the self. So when we come in family, we actually we are not connecting with each other, like sitting in a room together, but connecting with gadgets or mobile and laptop or TV, or seeing movies or music, but we are not connecting. We are not self to self connection is not there. So that's why all these diseases like of mood swings and loneliness comes even we are putting together in family. So family, when we talk about family, so there should be clarity of the self first, so that one self can connect to another self in true meaning. And like it's like we are driving a car in a sleeping mode, and we don't know about ourselves, that how should we connect to a person without seeing his without connecting its body. We should connect with the person as a self, like because body when we talk about body, it's like a physical thing, it's a material unit, and self is conscious unit. It's so physical body is just we are talking about just like Shashi sir said, that the mind is a self is something higher than mind. But in spirituality says that mind is a faculty of self, one of the faculty of self. So if we nurture our mind with positive thoughts and right kind of feeling, then we can connect with other person in a right manner. As the physical body is composed of, like consist of, we can say, the flesh and bone, and it's we can nurture through Panch Tattva, like Rao sir said, with the 5 elements, and it obeys a law of material law of nature. But like self is a entity, it's a permanent entity, and it's spirituality says it's a metaphysical entity, and its nurturing is through not physical outside things. It can be nurtured through positive emotions, positive feelings like love, trust, and which is nowadays missing in family. So that's why it's like we are living in family, but we are facing loneliness. So that's why we are nowadays we are putting efforts to like for domestic animal like dog and cat, we are to relieve the stress. So yes, we cannot live in isolation, but in true sense, we have to connect self to self. That relationship start from self. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. You pointed some interesting facts about the health of the family and the health of the human being. I would like to ask Dr. Eloji Rao regarding the health of society and health of nature and its impact on the health of the body.
Very interesting question. If you see the question and answer session, there is a question about the air pollution around us and what we can do. I think it just speaks a lot about. I need to put it in just a couple of minutes. You see, me and the society, are we not interconnected? We are. We take the things from the society and give it back to the society. So if there is a harmony, then our relation will be wonderful. It's mutually respectable, mutually acceptable, and livable. The moment there is an imbalance, is going to put a stress. And somebody has to manage the stress. And therefore, I feel that together we have to be responsible. Together we have to do the thing that is good, not only for me, but for the society as well. I think the misunderstanding of this particular relation manifests into difficulty to the whole system, isn't it? Because of somebody else's mistake, today people are having bad environment in Delhi. That is where I am. Even my throat is suffering. I am trying to do everything that I can, but still it is not going to be helping. So we have to start taking ownership for what we do. We have to collectively, and also we have to take ownership for the whole society. I think that approach probably would be able to mitigate and probably put less stress on the society, and probably we can live somewhat happily and probably healthy also. As a shorter answer than what I wanted to speak, but I'll stop here at this point of time. You are on mute, Raliji.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. I would like to ask Dr. Swapan about your views on human being as interconnected to the family, society, and nature, and the impact this has on the health.
I think very relevant question, because today when human being lives in isolation, then I think if he's not even aware that as a human being I am a coexistence of self and body, then even I am not taking care of my body. I'm not taking the responsibility of nurturing the body, protecting the body, and doing the right utilization of the body. And same way, if I'm feeling I'm isolated, then even the family's relationships are not being taken care of. And you can see in many parts of the world that there are broken families today. And then they also bring stresses to me. And then again, the body issues will start. Similarly, in the society, if there's I'm living in isolation, I'm trying to dominate people around me. And then obviously, then again, it's an exploitation of the people. And then there's a mistrust and a fear in the society. And then again, it comes to the, in a way, I'm disturbed. And then the stresses can be there in the body. And then stresses in me. And then the body can be affected by that. Similarly, as Dr. Rao said, if I'm feeling isolated from the nature, I try to dominate the nature to get a lot of physical facilities. And then even nature is being plundered, like means we can see that the air pollution, as sir said. And again, it comes back to, it is affecting the bodies also. Our body's immunity is getting lesser and lesser. And so I think the high time now we have to see that the whole, we can sum up that I'm in coexistence. And this is what we are learning, and we are trying to do the experiment in these morning sessions and these workshops. that I'm, first of all, I'm a coexistence of self and body, and then self is at the center stage, body is my tool. So then this feeling of self-regulation will bring health in the body by doing all this intake, all this health program intake, and this daily routine, etc. And here I want to bring to the notice that last 2 years working on these three parts: intake, daily routine, and then physical work, my body has become leaner and I've become more effective, more efficient, more commitment to my work. Body is becoming more efficient. So, and then my relationship in the family, this is bringing in harmony to me. And then not my body is being taken care of. I see, even if you are related to the family, even the family means the bodies become healthier because there is a harmony in the family. Similarly, in the society, then you're able to contribute more, and the society will become human society, and then the nature will be taken care of. But then, as Dr. Sasi said, it's a process. I think we all have to go through this process. We can't preach it. We can't tell. They're not understanding it. I have to understand myself. This concept of coexistence with my body, my family, society, and nature. Then I think this wheel will start going back. So holistic education is a must today, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Swapan. Dr. Rao has rightly pointed about the impact of nature on the physical health, and Dr. Swapan has pointed the impact of society, like mistrust and fear, on the mental health. So I think nature and society, they do have a role on the health of the body. So maybe when we see human being as a whole, so that would give a more understanding about health and the treatment of health as a human body. So we have almost come to the end of our discussion. So I would like to have all of your views on this last question. So is it time to bring this holistic perspective and the holistic approach as a possible solution to all the problems? Your views on it. So since the time is very short, I would like to ask Dr. Umang, what is your view of this?
In my opinion, it's a high time to bring this approach, the holistic approach, to the life. But for this holistic approach, I think we have to motivate the individuals that they should be self-aware of themselves, and to motivate them. I think in this way, we can not only cure the diseases, but they make themselves self-aware. But additionally, I would like to point out here, to get this self-awareness, they themselves have to come out of their comfort zone so as to realize their potential, how they can utilize this holistic approach and help the society, help the body and mind, so to be in harmony with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Umang. I would like to ask Dr. Vidya about her views on holistic approach to health being a possible.
Yes. As I told you already, in a country like India, the system was like that only. If we see from our ancestors, see, we were the actual people living there, they worshipped nature as a god. They have treated nature properly, and the nature also has given them whatever they want. And when you take a family situation, like initially it was a joint family, then it turned into a nuclear family, and now if you see, they are calling it as broken family, and parenting also is very poor and it's questionable. Now the pathetic thing is the kids are with either one of the parent, single parent, they are telling. So this single parent culture and all is very worst, and because of this, lots and lots of problems are emerging in. See, the parent also has to run behind because she or he may be the only breadwinner, and they are not taking of themselves and also about the young kids who are going to be the future. So their health is spoiled, they are under mental stress, everything is spoiled. The entire system has been collapsed. So now it is high time to stop here and just go back to our originality. So our original, if we try to follow what our ancestors has done properly, then that will be a perfect solution for me. That is my perception. And one more thing, the society also expecting much from the individual. Say for example, when a person is going to the school, the management needs only the toppers. Nobody is taking up the average students, and they have the I have that mind to train them and become make them best. No, they don't want all those things. They want only the toppers. And when they go for a job also, they are taking only the toppers. So our expectation also, that is the society's expectation on the individual also has to be reduced, so that they are not under much stress. The competition, wherever we go, it is full of competition, competition, competition. So that expectation level has to be decreased and more opportunity has to be served to individuals. So that will be a big relief for all these things, particularly to the mental stress. So all are running behind something without knowing what is its purpose and what it is going to serve at the end. See, end of the day, what we need is 3 meals and one nice shelter. And if we understand that properly, good health will be the best. If health is lost, definitely something is lost. So to maintain our health, our mental peace, our expectation has to be reduced. So if we reduce our expectation, the society automatically will reduce our expectation and it will reduce the burden. So then I think everything will come into place. So that is my perception.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vidya. So we have almost come to the end. See, in chat box, there's a question. How easy is it to find the root cause of diseases from modern medical science when it is not part of their formal studies? Dr. Vidya, I think you would be the right person to answer because you are secretary of an educational institution.
I'm not getting the question. Can you please repeat the question?
How easy is it to find the root cause of diseases for modern medical science when it is not part of their formal studies? So they're asking about the root cause
Root cause.
problem itself
See,
and not part of
yes.
curriculum. Yeah.
Yes. See, the thing is, like as sir told, it is easy to say something, but it is difficult to practice. So first, if we want to say say to somebody like this root cause, this is the root cause, and this has to be eradicated. First, we should be aware of that. So we should have practiced something, and then we should realize that this is what's the particular root cause causing this particular disease. So unless we ourselves do explore things, we cannot give proper suggestions to all these things. See, for all the diseases, definitely there is a root cause, and the doctors have read in detail about all those things. But in addition to that, there is something needed extra which has to be taken care of. So over a period of time, that self-care, that self-awareness will come to everyone. It is the individual responsibility. So whatever we say also, the individual has to take it in a proper way and they have to find the proper solution. So that is my thing.
Yeah, thank you. So, towards the end, just to sum up, so today we saw about the understanding of root causes of illness in terms of the role of self in the health and the responsibility of self for ensuring sustainability and interconnectedness of human being in existence. So we all came to a general conclusion that there needs to be a little more research on the consciousness part, the effect the mind has on the body when it comes to role of self and health, and also regarding the sustainability. And when it came to interconnectedness of human being in existence, we all were in agreement that family, society, and nature does have a direct impact on the physical health as well as the mental health. So addressing human being on a whole is a better way to do it. And regarding sustainability of our healthcare system, the discussion went around the program of health, which is also the viewpoint from UHV viewpoint, where we need to incorporate proper intake of food, water, air, and sensations through the body, and the role of good postures, breathing, labor, and exercises. So, and during the discussion, Dr. Rao and Dr. Swapan also rightly mentioned about how this can be brought into education. So, students and faculties can rightly know these things from the start. So, I think tomorrow our discussion will be on the implementation of these and in education, in curriculum, and how this can be done. So we have 5 more minutes, and I would like to open the forum for a general open discussion. If there's any, and delegates who are watching it, if you have any more questions also, you're free to ask. And I thank each of the panelists. I know you have all different schedules, and in spite of that, you have joined here to share in your views, and all your views are really well taken, and I really appreciate it. You have brought in so much insight on this topic, and it's gone a little deeper. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Mrinalini ji, I want to say just a couple of things.
Yes.
One, thank you for bringing all of us to share our thoughts. Tomorrow I'm not joining. I am on the road, up in the air. Now, we have discussed quite a lot between yesterday and today, and we are going to do same thing tomorrow in my absence. But I want you to understand the difference between the rights and the duty. When we talk about it is my right, it is your right, it is their right and everything, what exactly we are doing? We are asking something, demanding something, seeking something. But don't we have any responsibility? Don't you have any duties to perform? I think in our lives, somehow we have transitioned more towards asking as right rather than owning the responsibility and doing our duty. And this approach probably helped to a larger extent in the minds of the students if this becomes a part of education. If we invest in today's youth, today's children, and it will be a wonderful contribution from all of us through education. Because we are not doing that one, what is happening in the world today? People are suffering at the young age with lots of difficulties and challenges. For example, look into this slide. This is a global phenomena in terms of the where is this? Let me hide this note. The young adults, young and men and women, what kind of issues they are facing at the global level? These are all easily preventable. Mental health, substance abuse, STIs, all these things. So I think collectively, let us take a stand that we'll try to do our duties, which is going to be the foundation for the future generation. With that appeal, I will stop and thank you once again and namaste to everyone.
Thank you, sir. Namaste, sir.
Thank you so much. I think that is a wonderful note to be close this session by Dr. L.O.G. Rao. Very nice. And we had a very good discussion also with on the last 2 days. So thank you all our esteemed panelists for a very fruitful session, and Dr. Mrinalini, who was the moderator for the session. Thanks to all the delegates who have joined and also the participants who have joined via YouTube and live streaming. So as mentioned, the next session in this shift will start at 7 p.m. tomorrow with the keynote lecture on implementing UHV for holistic value-based education and fulfilling human aspirations and addressing SDGs at their root. So you can view the details of all the sessions from the sessions tab in the Zoom web window. More details can be seen in the website at uhv.org.in. So once again, thank you so much for all for joining here. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste to all.
Namaste.
Tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste.